The manuscript sat between us like a ticking bomb as my sister Anna traced her fingers along its edges, her eyes gleaming with an intensity I should have recognized as dangerous. I'd spent 18 months pouring my soul into those pages, stealing moments between my waitressing shifts and my daughter's bedtime stories to craft what I knew was my best work yet. My name is Kendra, and I never thought my own sister would be the one to destroy everything I'd worked for. This is incredible, Anna whispered, flipping through the pages with trembling hands. We sat in her sleek downtown apartment, worlds away from my cramped two-bedroom rental where my daughter's toys competed for space with my writing desk. You really think so? I couldn't help the smile that crept across my face. After years of rejection letters and close but not quite feedback from publishers, I finally had something special. The way you've woven the family dynamics, the secrets, Anna's voice trailed off. It's exactly what publishers are looking for right now. I should have seen it then. The calculation behind her praise, the slight tremor in her voice that wasn't just excitement. But I was too busy basking in her approval, too grateful for a moment of validation after years of struggle. Mom's gonna flip when she reads this, I said, reaching for my coffee. Remember how she always said we should write about our family? Anna's laugh sounded forced. Mom says a lot of things. Speaking of which, how's Sophie doing with the new school? She's adjusting. The scholarship helps, but I hesitated, not wanting to burden her with my financial struggles. We're managing. Still working both jobs. The diner during the day, online tutoring at night. It's tight, but we make it work. I forced a smile. Once this gets published, though, have you shown it to anyone else? Anna interrupted, her knuckles white around the manuscript. Just you. I thought about sending it to Tristan, since he's in publishing now, but I wanted your opinion first. Anna's expression shifted, something calculating flickering across her face. Let me talk to him for you. We've stayed in touch, and I know exactly how to pitch this. Really? You'd do that? Of course. She stood up, clutching the manuscript to her chest. That's what sisters are for, right? My phone buzzed, a text from my babysitter. Sophie's running a fever, I said, gathering my things. I should go. Leave the manuscript, Anna said quickly. I want to read it again, make some notes. I'll get it back to you next week. I hesitated for a moment, but Sophie's fever won out over my instincts. Thanks, sis. This means everything to me. As I drove home through the rain, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. But I pushed it aside, focusing instead on what I'd tell Sophie about her aunt's reaction to my story. The next few weeks passed in a blur of work shifts, school runs, and stolen moments at my laptop, tweaking the ending of my manuscript. Anna grew increasingly difficult to reach, her texts becoming shorter, her excuses more elaborate. Just swamped with work, she'd say when I finally caught her on the phone. I'll get your pages back to you soon. Then came the morning I saw the announcement on Twitter. My coffee cup slipped from my hand, shattering on the kitchen floor as I stared at my phone screen. Excited to announce the acquisition of Family Ties by Anna Wade, a searing exploration of sisterhood and secrets, coming this fall from Riverside Press. Below was a photo of my sister, beaming beside Tristan, holding what looked suspiciously like my manuscript. The plot summary that followed was identical to my story, the one I'd trusted her with, the one I'd poured my heart into. Mommy? Sophie's voice cut through my shock. Are you okay? I looked at my 6-year-old daughter, standing there in her mismatched pajamas, concern written across her face. In that moment, something inside me hardened. I'm fine, sweetie, I said, carefully stepping around the broken ceramic. Just dropped my cup. Go get dressed for school. As soon as Sophie was out of earshot, I called Anna. Straight to voicemail. I tried again, and again. Finally, a text appeared. Can't talk now. In meetings all day. Exciting news, though. Call you later. I stared at those cheerful words, my hands shaking with rage. Years of being the responsible sister, of watching Anna charm her way through life while I struggled to make ends meet, of believing that blood meant something. It all crystallized into a single burning thought. She had no idea what she'd just started. I opened my laptop and began to write. If Anna wanted to steal my story, fine. But she was about to learn that some stories come with consequences she couldn't imagine, and I knew exactly where all her bodies were buried, You've reached Anna Wade's literary agency. How may I direct your call? Tell my sister to stop screening my calls before I show up at her office. My voice shook as I paced my tiny living room, phone pressed to my ear. I'm sorry, but Ms. Wade is in meetings all... She's been in meetings for 2 weeks. I caught my reflection in the window, dark circles under my eyes, hair pulled back in a messy bun. Tell her Kendra called. Again. I hung up and opened my laptop, where Anna's first interview about her book was already trending. The morning show host beamed at my sister, who wore the designer blazer I'd once complimented in a boutique window. The idea came to me during a family dinner, Anna was saying, her practice smile perfect for the cameras. There's something so compelling about sisters, about the secrets we keep. My phone rang. Tristan's name flashed on the screen. Finally, I answered. Someone who'll actually talk to me. Kendra, He paused. This is complicated. Complicated? She stole my manuscript, Tristan. Word for word. She says you helped her develop the concept, that you gave her your blessing to take it further. I laughed, the sound harsh, even to my own ears. And you believed her? Look, the book's already in production. The marketing campaign is rolling out. There's serious buzz building. I have drafts, I cut in. Earlier versions, email timestamps, notes in my daughter's school notebooks where I worked out plot points during her soccer practice. Silence stretched between us. Tristan? She's my biggest author now, he said quietly. The advance alone. I can't just what? Do the right thing? My voice cracked. We were friends once. You know me. You know I wrote this. Maybe we can work something out. A percentage of... Don't you dare offer me hush money. I gripped the phone tighter. You know what? You two deserve each other. I hung up as Sophie came bouncing through the front door with my mother, Michaela, who took one look at my face and sent Sophie to her room to start homework. You look terrible, Mom said, settling onto my worn couch. Is this about Anna's book? You mean my book? I pulled up the interview on my laptop. Listen to this. We watched as Anna described her writing process, using phrases I'd spoken to her in confidence about my own work. The way the protagonist struggles with single motherhood while pursuing her dreams. Anna's voice drifted from the speakers. I really wanted to capture that raw authenticity. Mom's face paled. Oh, sweetheart. She's stealing my life, Mom. Not just my words, my experiences, my struggles. I slammed the laptop shut. And everyone's just letting her. Have you tried talking to her? Really talking? She won't even take my calls. I started pacing again. Remember when we were kids, and she took credit for that story I wrote for the school paper? You said she'd grow out of it. She's still your sister. No. I stopped pacing. Sisters don't do this to each other. My phone buzzed with a text from Anna. Saw you called the agency. Can we not make this weird? I'm happy to acknowledge your input when the book comes out. My input? I read aloud, hands shaking. My input? Mom reached for my phone. Let me talk to her. No. I pulled away. I'm done letting other people fight my battles. I opened my laptop again, pulling up the original manuscript, the one stored safely in my cloud drive. The one with all the family secrets I'd woven in, things only Anna and I knew, things she clearly hadn't read carefully enough before claiming the story as her own. What are you going to do? Mom asked, watching me type. I'm going to finish what she started. I looked up at her. You might want to brace yourself. Things are about to get messy. Kendra, did you see the advance they gave her? 6 figures. Meanwhile, I'm picking up extra shifts just to keep Sophie in her school. I turned back to my screen. She wants to play author with my life? Fine. But she's about to learn that some stories have consequences. My phone buzzed again. An email from Felicity, Anna's best friend. Just saw the morning show. You must be so proud of your sister. We should all celebrate together soon. I smiled grimly as I typed my response. Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Because that's where it would happen, at one of their fancy literary parties, surrounded by the people Anna was so desperate to impress. That's where I'd start unraveling the careful facade she'd built. Mom, I said, still typing, you should probably go home. Sophie and I need to have a talk about some family history. Don't do anything you can't take back, she warned, gathering her purse. But as I watched her leave, I knew it was too late for warnings. Anna had already done something that couldn't be taken back. Now it was my turn. Mommy, why are we looking at old pictures? Sophie asked, cross-legged on my bedroom floor as I pulled another dusty album from under my bed. Because sometimes the past holds answers, I said, flipping through photos until I found what I needed. Anna at 18, arms around a boy our parents never knew about. The boy whose baby she'd given up for adoption. Who's that? Sophie pointed at the image. Someone your Aunt Anna used to know. I snapped a photo of the picture with my phone. Someone she'd rather forget. My laptop chimed with an email notification, another interview request for Anna, this time from a major literary podcast. The host wanted to discuss the deeply personal inspiration behind her book. Perfect. I opened my document and began typing, weaving in details about the summer Anna disappeared for 3 months. Our parents had told everyone she was at a writing retreat. Only I knew the truth. I'd driven her to the clinic, held her hand through the paperwork, watched her sign away her rights. My phone rang. Tristan again. What do you want? I answered. I read the new chapters Anna just submitted, he said, his voice tense. They're different from the original manuscript. Oh? These details about the sisters' past, they seem very specific, very personal. I leaned back in my chair. Funny how that works. Kendra. He lowered his voice. What are you doing? Ask Anna. She's the author, remember? Listen, I know you're angry. Angry doesn't begin to cover it. I watched Sophie arrange the photos in patterns on the floor. You know what Sophie asked me yesterday? She wanted to know why Aunt Anna's book sounds exactly like the stories I tell her at bedtime. Silence filled the line. How do you explain plagiarism to a 6-year-old, Tristan? I'll talk to her, he offered. Maybe we can work something out. Too late. I hung up and turned to Sophie. Ready for ice cream? At the parlor down the street, we ran into Felicity, Anna's best friend since college. She waved enthusiastically, clearly not reading the room. Kendra, Sophie, I was just thinking about you. She slid into our booth uninvited. Anna's book launch party is next month. You're coming, right? Wouldn't miss it. I handed Sophie a napkin. I hear she's reading excerpts. The whole literary scene will be there, Felicity beamed. She's even hired a publicist to handle the media coverage. Has she mentioned which chapters she's planning to read? Something about family secrets, I think. She says it's the heart of the book. I smiled. It certainly is. Later that night, after tucking Sophie in, I called our brother Harlan. We hadn't spoken in months, not since the fight at Christmas. This better be good, he answered. Remember that summer when Anna stayed with you? I asked. The one Mom and Dad don't know about? Jesus, Kendra. His voice dropped. We agreed never to talk about that. Anna's writing about it. What? Well, technically I wrote about it, but she stole my manuscript, so now she's publishing it. She wouldn't dare. She already is. I pulled up her latest interview on my screen. But here's the thing. She hasn't read the new chapters yet, the ones where I detail exactly what happened that summer. Harlan swore under his breath. You're playing with fire. She lit the match when she stole my work. Does she know about the changes? She will. I closed my laptop. At her launch party, in front of everyone. You're going to destroy her. She destroyed herself, I corrected. I'm just providing the evidence. After hanging up, I stared at my reflection in the dark window. The woman looking back at me wasn't the same person who'd trustingly handed over her manuscript weeks ago. That woman was gone, replaced by someone harder, someone willing to fight fire with fire. My phone lit up with a text from Anna. Just read the new chapters. We need to talk. Finally. Now you want to talk? I typed back. Funny how that works. This isn't a game, Kendra. You're right. It's not. It's my life, my story, my truth. Please, she wrote, don't do this. I thought about all the nights I'd stayed up writing while Sophie slept, about the rejection letters I'd collected, about Anna's smiling face on morning television taking credit for my words. Too late, I replied. The chapters are already with your publisher, but don't worry. You wanted authenticity, right? Well, now you've got it. I turned off my phone and opened my laptop again. The final chapters were taking shape, each word a bullet aimed straight at the carefully constructed image my sister had built. By the time I was done, everyone would know exactly who Anna really was. And more importantly, they'd know who I was too. The book launch invitation arrived on expensive cream-colored paper, Anna's name embossed in gold. I set it on my kitchen counter next to a stack of overdue bills and a notice from Sophie's school about upcoming tuition. My phone buzzed. Tristan again. Anna's freaking out, he said without preamble. She says you're threatening her. Threatening? I stirred my coffee. I'm just helping her tell our family story. Isn't that what she wanted? The adoption records, Kendra? Really? I changed the names. But she knows. I know. Anyone who was there will know. A knock at my door interrupted us. Through the peephole, I saw my mother, looking more worried than usual. I have to go, I told Tristan. Give Anna my love. I opened the door to find Mom clutching a newspaper. Have you seen this? The literary section featured a glowing preview of Anna's book, praising its unflinching examination of family secrets. Below was a quote from Anna. Every family has stories they don't tell. I'm just brave enough to tell them. Brave? I laughed. That's what we're calling it now? Anna called me crying this morning. Mom sank into a kitchen chair. She says you're trying to ruin her. She ruined herself when she stole my work. But these secrets, Kendra. Mom's hands trembled. Some things should stay buried. Like what happened with Harlan, or Anna's baby, or Dad's. Stop! Mom pressed her fingers to her temples. Just stop! My phone chimed with a text from Felicity. Anna's having a meltdown at the publisher's office. What did you do? Nothing she didn't ask for, I typed back. She's talking about canceling the launch. I smiled. That would be a shame. Mom watched me with growing concern. I don't recognize you anymore. Funny. I was just starting to recognize myself. The door burst open as Sophie ran in from her after-school program, her teacher following with an odd expression. Ms. Wade, she said, could we talk privately? In the hallway, she showed me Sophie's writing journal. She's been writing stories about her aunt stealing her mother's book. We're concerned about the impact this situation might be having on her. My stomach clenched. I'll talk to her. Back inside, I found Mom showing Sophie old family photos. And here's your mom and Aunt Anna at the beach, she was saying. They used to be best friends. Used to be, Sophie echoed, looking at me with questions in her eyes. My phone rang again, Harlan this time. Anna just called me, he said when I answered. She's threatening to sue you for defamation. With what money? Her advance? I walked into my bedroom, closing the door. Besides, truth is an absolute defense against defamation. This isn't just about Anna anymore, he warned. You're dragging up things that affect all of us. Maybe it's time someone did. A text from Tristan flashed on my screen. The marketing team loves the new chapters. They're pushing for an even bigger launch event now. This is getting out of control. Another message followed from Anna. Please, I'll give you co-author credit. A percentage of the advance. Anything. I thought about Sophie's writing journal, about the lessons I was teaching my daughter. Was revenge worth the cost? Then I remembered Anna on television, wearing that blazer, speaking my words with practiced sincerity. Rage bloomed fresh in my chest. You should have thought of that before, I typed back. Mom was waiting when I returned to the kitchen. Sophie's doing homework. We need to talk. About what? About what really happened that summer with Anna. About why she did what she did. I crossed my arms. I was there, Mom. I know what happened. No, she said quietly. You don't know everything. Something in her tone made me sit down. Before Anna got pregnant, Mom began. Before she went to stay with Harlan, something happened. Something I never told either of you. My phone buzzed again. Felicity. The publicity team wants to do a joint interview with you and Anna. They're calling it Sister Authors of Family Legacy. I ignored it, focusing on Mom's face as she continued speaking, each word making my carefully constructed revenge plot shift and crack like ice in spring. By the time she finished, I sat in stunned silence, understanding for the first time that some stories, once told, can never be untold, and some revenge once taken costs more than we ever imagined. My phone lit up one final time, the launch party reminder. 2 weeks until the event that would either destroy my sister or destroy us all. I wasn't sure anymore which outcome I was hoping for. The launch party venue gleamed with expensive lighting and carefully curated decorations. I adjusted my thrift store dress, feeling out of place among the literary elite who filled the room. Sophie was with Mom tonight. I couldn't let her witness what was about to happen. "Kendra!" Felicity's voice cut through the crowd. "You came, and you look different." Amazing what spite can do for your complexion. I grabbed a champagne flute from a passing waiter. "Anna's nervous about the reading," Felicity whispered. "She's been in the bathroom for 20 minutes. "Has she?" I smiled. "Maybe she's reviewing the new chapters." Tristan appeared at my elbow, looking stressed. "We need to talk. Now." He steered me toward a quiet corner near the emergency exit. "The publicity team wants you to introduce Anna. They think it'll make a great story. Sister supporting sister. You can't be serious. It would help smooth things over, show unity." "Unity?" I laughed. "Is that what we're calling fraud these days?" "Please," he said. "Just think about—" The room suddenly hushed as Anna emerged, wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Our eyes met across the crowd, and for a moment I saw real fear in hers. "Ladies and gentlemen," the publisher announced, "please welcome the exciting new voice in contemporary fiction, Anna Wade." Applause filled the room. Anna stepped up to the podium, hands shaking as she arranged her papers. "Thank you all for coming," she began. "I'd like to read from chapter 12 where—" "Why not read from the new chapters?" I called out, my voice carrying across the quiet room. "The ones about the baby?" the crowd murmured. Anna's face went white. "Or maybe," I continued, moving closer to the podium, "you could tell them about the summer you spent with our brother, the real reason you were there." "Kendra," she whispered, "please don't." "But it's your story, right?" I was standing right in front of her now. "Isn't that what you've been telling everyone?" The publisher stepped forward. "Perhaps we should take a brief break." "No," Anna said suddenly, straightening up. "No breaks. You want the truth, Kendra? Fine, let's tell the truth." She turned to face the crowd. "My sister wrote this book." The room erupted in confused whispers. "I stole her manuscript," Anna continued, her voice breaking. "I was desperate. My career was over. No one would publish me after my last book flopped. And then I read her story. This beautiful, honest story about family and secrets and shame. And I took it." I stood frozen, unprepared for this confession. "But you know what, Kendra?" Anna turned back to me. "You don't know everything. Mom told me what she told you. About Dad. About why I really went to Harlan's that summer." "Stop," I said, but she continued. "I was protecting you." Her voice rose. "Dad was going to send you away, just like he did to me. The pregnancy was just an excuse. I made sure you could stay." The room spun around me as pieces fell into place. Why Anna had always covered for me with Dad, why she'd insisted on being the problem child. "You could have told me," I whispered. "Would you have let me protect you if I had?" She laughed bitterly. "You were always so stubborn, so determined to fight your own battles." The crowd watched in stunned silence as years of family drama unfolded before them. "So yes," Anna addressed the room, "I stole my sister's book. And yes, she's been rewriting it to expose my secrets. But we're both guilty of using words as weapons." Felicity appeared with tissues. Tristan looked like he wanted to disappear. "The book," Anna continued, "will be withdrawn from publication. All advances will be returned." She looked at me. "It's your story to tell, Kendra, not mine. I'm sorry I forgot that." I stood there, revenge turning to ashes in my mouth. The truth I'd wanted to expose had exposed something else entirely. the complicated web of protection and pain that bound us together. Ladies and gentlemen, the publisher stepped in. We apologize for any confusion. Please enjoy the refreshments while we sort out this family matter. As the crowd dispersed into awkward clusters, Anna and I stood facing each other, decades of unspoken words hanging between us. You should have told me, I said again. You should have let me help you, she countered. All those years struggling as a single mom, too proud to accept support. I didn't want your charity. It wasn't charity, she wiped her eyes. It was sisterhood. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Sophie wants to know if her aunt and Mom are friends again yet. Looking at Anna's tear-stained face, I saw not the successful author who had stolen my work, but the sister who had sacrificed her own future to protect mine. We should talk, I said finally. Really talk. She nodded, relief flooding her features. Over coffee, like we used to? The revenge I'd planned suddenly seemed hollow compared to the possibility of understanding the truth. All of it, not just the parts I thought I knew. Coffee, I agreed. But you're buying. The coffee shop was nearly empty at midnight. Just Anna and me in a corner booth, surrounded by the wreckage of our public showdown. She'd changed out of her designer dress into jeans and a sweater, looking more like the sister I remembered. Start from the beginning, I said, wrapping my hands around my mug. Everything. Dad found your college applications, Anna began. The ones for the writing programs. He went ballistic, said no daughter of his would waste her life on creative nonsense. I never saw those letters. Because I intercepted them. She stirred her coffee endlessly. He was going to send you to live with Aunt Margaret, force you into business school. So you got pregnant on purpose? God, no, she laughed bitterly. That was just convenient timing, but I used it. Made myself the family disappointment so he'd forget about your writing dreams. My phone buzzed. Tristan. Media's having a field day. Need to know how you want to handle this. I turned the phone face down. Remember that summer? Anna continued. When I stayed with Harlan? You mean when you gave up your baby? She flinched. Dad was watching you like a hawk. I had to do something dramatic enough to keep his attention on me. By getting pregnant? By being everything he feared. Wild, irresponsible, ruined. She met my eyes. So you could be everything you wanted. The bell above the door chimed. We both looked up to see Harlan walking in, looking tired and angry. Well, he said, sliding into our booth. You two really did it this time. How did you... Mom called. Said I needed to knock some sense into both of you. He signaled for coffee. The video's already trending. Video? Anna and I said simultaneously. He pulled out his phone, showing us shaky footage of our confrontation at the launch party. The comments were brutal, dissecting every word, every gesture. Congratulations, he said dryly. You're both internet famous. Harlan, Anna started. About what I said. About that summer. Save it. He held up a hand. We all did what we had to do back then. But this public bloodletting, this stops now. My phone buzzed again. Mom sending a photo of Sophie asleep with her favorite book, one I'd written just for her. She asks about you every day, I told Anna. Wants to know why her favorite aunt disappeared. I couldn't face her, Anna whispered. Not after what I did to you. You know what's worse than stealing my manuscript? I leaned forward. Making Sophie think she'd lost another person who loved her. Harlan's coffee arrived, and he dumped 3 sugars in it. Remember when we were kids, how we'd cover for each other? You mean how Anna would cover for us? I corrected. I never understood why you were always protecting me. Because you were the only one of us who could get out, Anna said. The only one with real talent. That's not true. It is. She pulled out her phone, showing me her publishing record. 3 books, all flops. I couldn't write my way out of a paper bag, but your words sang. So you stole them. I panicked. She put her head in her hands. My publisher was dropping me, my agent wasn't returning calls. And then I read your manuscript. and thought it was your ticket back. I thought I could fix everything, pay you back somehow, help you publish under your own name later." "With what?" Harlan interrupted. "The money you got from stealing her work?" Anna's phone rang, Felicity's name flashing on the screen. She declined the call. "The publisher wants a statement," she said. "Something about family reconciliation, turning it into a heartwarming story." "Of course they do," I laughed. "Can't waste a good scandal." "What are you going to do?" Harlan asked me. I looked at Anna, really looked at her. My sister, my protector, my betrayer. The woman who'd sacrificed her own future to secure mine, then tried to steal it back in a moment of desperation. "I'm going to tell the truth," I said finally. "All of it, in my own words this time." "Kendra," Anna started. "Not to hurt you," I cut in, "but because it's a story that needs telling, about family and sacrifice and the price we pay for protection." "They'll crucify me," Anna whispered. "No," I reached across the table, taking her hand. "They'll understand you, because I finally do." Harlan watched us, something like pride crossing his face. "So the writer tells the story after all." "The real story," I agreed. "Not the revenge fantasy I planned, but the truth. Messy and complicated and real." Anna squeezed my hand. "Where do we start?" "We start with coffee," I said. "And we don't leave until everything's out in the open. No more secrets, no more protection, no more lies." "Everything?" Harlan raised an eyebrow. "Everything," I confirmed, pulling out my laptop. "Starting right now." And as the night deepened around us, 3 siblings who'd spent decades protecting and hurting each other began to talk, really talk, while I typed every word. "Are you sure about this?" Tristan asked, scanning the manuscript I'd just sent him. We sat in his office, the city skyline stretching behind him through floor-to-ceiling windows. "Read it," I said. He scrolled through the pages, his expression changing from skepticism to surprise. "This isn't what I expected." "It's not what I expected to write either." The door opened and Anna walked in, looking smaller somehow in her casual clothes, the glamorous author persona stripped away. "Is that it?" she asked, nodding at Tristan's screen. "Our story," I confirmed. "The real one." She pulled up a chair beside me. "Did you include—" "Everything." I met her eyes. "The baby. Dad's manipulation, your protection, my revenge. It's all there." Tristan cleared his throat. "This is remarkable. But are you both prepared for the consequences?" "You mean, am I prepared to admit I committed fraud?" Anna's voice cracked. "That I stole my sister's work? Among other things." He turned his screen toward us, showing the social media firestorm still raging from the launch party. "This won't just go away." My phone buzzed. Sophie's school again. The publicity had reached even there, with parents asking questions, kids repeating things they'd overheard. "I need to pick up Sophie," I said, standing. "I'll come with you," Anna offered. I hesitated, then nodded. It was time. Outside the school, Sophie sat on the steps with her teacher, clutching her backpack. When she saw us, her eyes went wide. "Aunt Anna?" "Hey, sweetheart." Anna knelt down, arms open, but Sophie stayed back. "You stole Mommy's book." The words hung in the air like broken glass. Anna's arms dropped slowly. "I did," she said. "I was wrong, and I hurt your mom, and I hurt you. I'm so sorry." Sophie looked at me. "Is that why you were always angry?" "Come here," I said, sitting on the steps. Sophie settled between us. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, big ones, but what matters is what we do after." "Are you still sisters?" Sophie asked. Anna pulled something from her bag, a worn notebook I recognized from our childhood. "Always," she said, handing it to me. "Remember this?" I opened it to find our old stories, written in alternating handwriting. Mine neat and careful, hers wild and sprawling. "We used to write together," Anna told Sophie. "Your mom was always the better storyteller." "Then why did you take her story?" "Because I forgot something important," Anna said, meeting my eyes over Sophie's head. "I forgot that sometimes the best way to tell a story is to help someone else tell theirs." My phone chimed. Harlan had sent a photo of Dad's old study, now empty. He's finally moving out, the message read. Mom's helping him pack. Want to get ice cream? I asked Sophie. Aunt Anna's buying. At the ice cream parlor, Sophie slowly warmed up, showing Anna her own writing journal, full of stories about magical sisters who fought monsters together. They always make up in the end, Sophie explained, chocolate dripping down her cone. Smart girls, Anna said softly. My phone lit up with Tristan's message. Publisher wants to meet. Tomorrow morning. Both of you. They'll want to bury it, Anna said, reading over my shoulder. Protect their investment. Too late. I showed her the first chapter I'd posted online an hour ago. Comments were already flooding in, readers connecting with the raw honesty of our complicated truth. You really want to do this? She asked. Tell everything? Not for revenge anymore. I watched Sophie drawing pictures on a napkin. For her, so she knows that even when we mess up badly, there's always a way back. Through the truth? Through forgiveness. I took her hand. But the truth helps. Anna squeezed my fingers, then pulled out her own phone. Her social media accounts had been silent since the launch party disaster. Now she typed quickly, posted something, and turned the screen to me. To my readers, it began, I owe you an apology. The book you've been reading isn't mine. It's my sister's, not just her words, but her heart. Here's the real story. Sophie looked up from her drawing. Is Aunt Anna going to live far away again? No, Anna answered before I could. I'm staying right here, if that's okay with your mom. I thought about the manuscript waiting on Tristan's computer. Not just my story anymore, but ours. A story of betrayal and protection, of secrets and sacrifice, of two sisters finding their way back to each other through the very words that had torn them apart. It's okay, I said. We've got more stories to tell. Sophie beamed, pulling out her journal. Can we write one now? Anna and I exchanged looks over her head, remembering two little girls who once wrote stories together in a worn notebook, before life and fear and ambition drove them apart. Yeah, I said, taking the pen Sophie offered. Let's write one together. And there in that ice cream parlor, surrounded by sticky fingers and chocolate smudges, 3 generations of storytellers began to write something new. Ready? Anna asked, adjusting my collar as we stood backstage at the literary festival. As ready as I'll ever be. I peeked through the curtain at the packed auditorium. Sophie, stop fidgeting with your dress. My daughter grinned up at me, practically bouncing with excitement. Can I read my part too? That's the plan, kiddo. Tristan appeared, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him in months. They're ready for you, all 3 of you. The audience applauded as we walked onto the stage. I carried our childhood notebook in one hand, our new book in the other. The cover showed 2 girls writing in a shared journal, with a smaller figure watching over their shoulders. Welcome, everyone, I began, settling into the center chair. I'm Kendra, and this is my sister Anna and my daughter Sophie. We're here to talk about sisters' stories, a family truth. Anna leaned into her microphone. Some of you might remember us from that viral video. Gentle laughter rippled through the crowd. The one where I confessed to stealing my sister's manuscript, Anna continued. What you didn't see was what happened after. Sophie opened the new book to her favorite part. Can I read it now? I nodded, and my daughter's clear voice filled the auditorium. Once there were 2 sisters who loved stories more than anything. One sister protected the other so much that she forgot to protect herself. The other sister was so angry she forgot about love. But stories have a way of bringing truth to light. In the front row, Mom wiped her eyes. Beside her, Harlan gave us a thumbs up. Even Dad had come, sitting quietly in the back, looking older and somehow smaller than I remembered. The book you're holding, I told the audience, isn't just about betrayal or revenge. It's about the stories families tell themselves, and the truths they hide, and how sometimes the only way forward is to write a new story together. Anna pulled out her old manuscript, the stolen one, and held it up. This was my biggest mistake, and my greatest blessing, because it forced us to face everything we'd buried. Like how you protected me from Dad, I asked. And how you protected me from myself, she answered. Sophie tugged my sleeve. Tell them about the ice cream shop. The audience laughed as we described that day. 3 generations sharing stories over melting sundaes, healing wounds with words and chocolate sauce. The truth is, Anna said, I spent my whole life trying to be the writer my sister already was. I just couldn't see it through all my fear. And I spent my life so focused on my anger, I added, that I couldn't see the love behind my sister's mistakes. From the audience, how did you forgive each other? Sophie answered before either of us could. They wrote it out, just like I do when I'm mad. Writing makes everything better. More laughter, but she was right. We wrote our way back to each other, I explained. Every secret, every hurt, every misunderstanding, we put it all on paper, not for revenge or fame, but for truth. And for her, Anna added, squeezing Sophie's shoulder. So she'd know that family is stronger than mistakes. Questions poured in from the audience. About Dad's control, Mom's silence, Harlan's role in keeping our secrets. About Anna's baby, given up for adoption. About my years of struggle as a single mother. We answered honestly, our voices weaving together like they used to when we wrote stories as girls. Sophie chimed in with her perspective, making people laugh with her unfiltered observations about grown-ups and their complications. Finally, someone asked, "What's next for you both?" Anna and I exchanged glances. "We're writing separately now," I said, "but we read each other's work." "And we're honest about it," Anna added with a small smile. "And I'm writing too." Sophie held up her journal proudly. As the event wound down, I watched Sophie showing her stories to Dad, saw him listening with real interest for the first time, watched Mom and Harlan talking quietly with Anna about healing old wounds. "Thank you," Anna whispered, joining me at the edge of the stage, "for writing the truth instead of your revenge. Thank you for being brave enough to face it." She picked up our childhood notebook. "Remember what we wrote inside the cover?" I opened it to the first page, where two girls had scrawled in different handwriting, "Sisters tell the best stories because they share the same heart." "We forgot that for a while," Anna said, "but Sophie helped us remember." My daughter looked up from her conversation with Dad, waving her journal at us. "Can we write a new story tonight?" "Yes," I said, taking Anna's hand. "I think we can." Because that's what sisters do. They keep writing new stories, even after the old ones break their hearts. They find their way back to that shared heart, that common truth, that love that's stronger than betrayal. And sometimes they write their way home.